who's in the door. Number one, Kathy. How are you tonight? I was doing a little lighting adjusting. I had too much red in the corner and not enough, believe it or not, that's supposed to be red over here. I don't know, the filter is so faded. Although, I'm trying to find a green one. That way I would have the red and green over here and do it Christmas colors. I do have I don't know where I put it. I do have a big sheet of green Lexan plastic. I'm going to have to maybe cut it down, cut one to size. Hey, the rainbow is here. All right. Let's get cranking. Broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV with the Grumpy Old Man, and our show is brought to you by Straighten Your Banner, Grumpy Vulture Productions. No bow, thank you. I decided, oh, holy shit. Had to take a Band-Aid off. Jesus Christ, I ripped my skin off. I decided I'm going to put a turbo boost gauge in the Passat to, I don't know, watch a needle go up and down. I don't understand a boost gauge. So I took a ride up, and Ryan just happened to be in between cars. And I asked him, I says, how do I install a boost gauge? And he went, right here. See this vacuum line? Cut it in half, put a T in it, run the hose inside, mount your boost gauge, and you're done. I was, oh, that's easy enough. So I ordered me a boost gauge kit. I also took him another little Christmas present because he likes the emergency flasher lights I have in the car. I got those undercover car type that mount up at the top of the windshield, and they alternate back and forth, side to side. And every time I go in, he'd be playing with them. So I ordered him a set. Good. You'd think I gave the kid $1 million. He is so appreciative. And then his father came out because he thought maybe I had a problem with the car. And he showed his father, and he goes, you take better care of my son than his own uncles. You've given him more gifts. I said, well, the kid deserves them. I said, God, not to mention you and your son take good care of me labor-wise, and if I have a problem, you're never too busy to come out and He said, well, that's the way we run our business. We appreciate our customers. We have no problem dropping everything to go out and see what a problem is. And then he asked me, what's the problem with your car? I said, oh, nothing. I want to put a boost gauge in. He walks over and he goes, cut this line here. And Ryan said, Dad already told him. I'll tell you what. I'm going to include his mother. Absolutely wonderful family. Absolutely wonderful. They're also kind and appreciative, and it's obvious, they raised their son right. So he told me, he says, stop tomorrow. I'll have the lights mounted already. Like he did with the backup camera. The next day it was on. And he loves it. He told me, he says, oh, that's the neatest thing. So I showed him my newest toy. Matter of fact, I should have showed everybody before I put it in the car. I got it off of Temu, of course. And it is a elongated shift knob, and it's got a crystal face to it. And I really like it because it's very comfortable in my hand. Well, as soon as you touch the shift knob, the shift pattern lights up and it changes 7 different colors. It is the neatest thing. Never too old for toys, but it is cool. It looks like something that you would see, like in a Bentley, a Rolls Royce. I mentioned to Ryan and his father, I said, I'm putting all these toys on a car I don't even own yet. Boy, that would really piss me off. And they go, oh, we can't come up with a title for the car. Yeah, I messaged Bill and he said, after Thanksgiving, I'll be up sometime after Thanksgiving. He said, we have been cranking constant overtime 7 days a week. And he said, I'm racking in as much as I can get. Can't blame him for that. My sister's doing the same thing at Ford. She's been working 7 days a week now for 2 months. Although I told her, after you reach a certain point, the taxes really eat a chunk out of your overtime. The government's got to get their money. So I made a trip up the Marks again because the more I thought about it, I really wanted one of those apple pie with the crumble topping. And I lucked out. They have one left. As a matter of fact, I walked in the store, and I always grab a basket. I don't need a cart. I don't buy that much. I grabbed the basket, and I started to walk into the store. And I hear, hey, I turn around, and Olivia's standing there with her arms crossed going, "Oh, aren't you going to say hi?" I was like, "Well, I didn't see you there." She goes, "What do you mean you didn't see me here?" I said, "I did not see you." And she goes, "Oh, that's right, I was tying my shoe." I said, "Well, how the hell do you expect me to see you when you're not even, visible?" I said, "Well, I appreciated the hi." A ditch apple pie? I never heard of it referred to that. Oh, Dutch. Oh, I was going to say, I never heard of a ditch apple pie. What is that, crab apples? A Dutch apple pie. Well, I never heard of it referred to that either. Dutch apple pie. Well, I'll tell you what. The Dutch, they got something up on apple pie. Because it looks delicious. I can't wait to carve a piece out of it tonight. I've never had one with the crumbles on the top. I don't know what the crumbles are, but boy, they look delicious. The only apple pie I've ever had is regular apple pie. As a matter of fact, the label says apple pie with crumble topping. You would think if it's called Dutch apple pie, they would put Dutch apple pie. It just says apple pie with crumble topping. But it looks delicious. So I now have a sweet potato, a Dutch apple pie, and a regular apple pie. I had to get, as a matter of fact, good thing I bought the sweet potato yesterday because today, none. It was pumpkin, they had one cherry pie, and they had the one Dutch apple pie. They must have had 25 pumpkin pies. Matter of fact, yesterday there were, I would say, 15 of the Dutch apple. And today, I got the last one. Matter of fact, it was funny. I put it in my basket, and I started to walk away, and this woman comes up with her daughter, and she goes, "I thought you said there was a crumble topping apple pie here." And she goes, "There was, Mom. That's why I came back and got you." I scurried away quickly. I didn't want no bitching. That's my pie. It's in my basket. Yeah, because they're not getting any more. I thought for sure, because Thanksgiving isn't until Thursday, I figured the bakery manager would go, "Hey, we're out of pies." Olivia said, "What's on the table? That's it. They don't have any in the back." I says, "How do you know?" She goes, "Because I was the one that brought them out." I said, "Okay." I said, "Boy, we're a little feisty today." She goes, I'm feeling better. She was not feeling well over the weekend. Matter of fact, she called off. She said, "Boy, it sucks. I lost a day of work." But I'll tell you what. Since she dyed her hair her natural color, I told her, I said, "You look gorgeous, sweetheart. Don't mess it up now. No more blonde, green, blue, purple." Matter of fact, she told me she went to the beauty salon because usually she does it herself. And the girl at the beauty salon said, "You got to start treating it because your hair is drying out." I told her, I says, "Well, I'll gladly pour a little WD-40 over the top of that hair to." I told her, I said, talk to Anna and see what she uses, because the morning girl, the other cutie, her hair glistens. Oh, it's silky, silky. Well, I'm going to assume it's silky smooth. I haven't put my hands on her head, but it just it looks like something you would see in a commercial. You know, when the girl's shaking her hair and it glows. That's the way Anna's hair is. Olivia's got to do some work. I still haven't made up my mind, and I got to make up my mind by tomorrow, whether I'm going to do a turkey breast or I'm going to do a Cornish hen. And I need to make my mind up by tomorrow because nobody's got fresh Cornish hens. I called two butcher shops and they said no real demand for them at Thanksgiving, so they don't have any. And Save a Lot, they're oh, these things are so rock hard frozen. You could drop one from 30,000 feet and destroy a house. So I need to make my mind up by tomorrow morning because I gotta defrost it. I'm undecided. I mean, if I get the turkey breast, it'll be enough for 2 meals with stuffing and fixins, and then I'll have my fill. Yeah, see, Ron, I got to make my mind up by tomorrow morning because basically the Cornish hen has to go in the fridge to start to defrost because it's got to be fully defrosted by Thanksgiving morning. I'm back and forth. I should do the turkey breast because I could get a Cornish hen frozen anytime. That way I'll have my fill of my turkey and gravy, and I'll get a couple of sweet potatoes. If they got turnips, I'll get me some turnips. That way I'll have my mashed sweet potatoes. I'll have my mashed turnips. Or I could get the turnips and cheat and get a can of sweet potatoes in syrup. You know, get the ones that are all candied already in the can. Well, you sound like me, Ron. Like the one day I turned the damn burner on and forgot to take the burner cover off. I had to go out and buy new burner covers. Yeah. I turned the burner on, you know, because electric burners, they kind of take forever to heat up. And I'm working at the counter, and what the fuck is burning? I look over at the stove, and the burner cover's all black, smoking. I'm like, uh-oh. Grabbed it with the tongs and threw it in the sink and ran water on it. I had to go up to Dollar Tree and buy some new ones. Of course, they were out of the ones I wanted, so I ended up with, it looks like a table setting with a glass and a fancy wine bottle. That's a burner cover. Nobody sees them anyway. Although they do look weird because they're maroon and cream with, you know, looks like a table setting. And my stove is 1950 avocado green. You remember them, don't you, Kathy? The beautiful avocado green appliances back in the day. Then people had to have the avocado green foam to match. At least my mother did. It was the most hideous looking set of appliances. A stove and a refrigerator and a telephone in avocado green. Now, wall phone on top of it. And then when Touchtone came out, she got a powder blue phone, which everything really clashed. Oh, yeah, Harvest Gold. My first house. The people left the appliances, and I had a double oven stove and refrigerator in Harvest Gold. You love the avocado green? I'll ship you my electric range then. But it's not mine. It came with the house. It don't look that bad. I mean, the major problem is, like, you know, I got this avocado green stove and then I got a white refrigerator. You know, it would be nice to have appliances that match. But, you know, what do I, yeah. It's not like I have representatives of Martha Stewart coming in going, oh, this kitchen. Now, the avocado green appliances weren't bad, but whoever decided on the avocado green for the telephones, oh, that now the phones were hideous. The appliances didn't look too bad, but the phone, it was more like army olive drab. And it was the first thing you saw when you walked in my mother's kitchen. As soon as you come up the stairs, the phone was directly ahead on the wall. She had it conveniently in a spot where, well, when she ended up having the 10-foot phone cord on it, wasn't bad. But when it had the little shorty, you had to lean on the kitchen counter to talk on the phone. Finally, she got aggravated and called Ohio Bell and said, do you have a longer cord? Christ, the cord was so long you could walk into the living room. Although I'll tell you what, the colors on the new appliances are unbelievable. The last time I was at Homeless Depot, they had a washer and dryer, an LG washer and dryer in a candy apple red. And next to it, they had a washer and dryer in a gorgeous deep metallic blue. And then they had one in like a metallic teal green. I was like, wow. Talk about fancy appliances. You had a gossip bench. I never heard of a gossip bench. What was something like a church pew? I have down in the basement, where I should say the house came with it, the original drop leaf table and 4 wooden chairs that my buddy's parents bought in 1951. And they're in it's kind of a green, like your first comment block that says avocado green. That's what color the table and chairs are. Now it needs to be refinished, but it's a small little. It's amazing. The table is about, oh gee, I don't think it's 4 foot. It might be like 40 inches. And then it's like 24 inches wide with the leaves down. Now, when you pull the leaves up, it's a pretty good sized table. I'm actually thinking of refinishing it and putting it in my kitchen because the table that's in my kitchen is around, it's maple wood, but it's a little too big for the kitchen. And then if I finish this drop leaf out in the garage, my son had gotten a. It looks like a 5 foot long church pew. So I would bring that in and then put the table in front of it and then raise one leaf up and bring two chairs in. That way, if her I would want to eat at the kitchen table, I could. I don't, but I could. And I'll tell you what, it's in really decent condition, except the paint it's chipped and peeling in spots. I don't know what color I would refinish it in. But I think it would look cool in my kitchen, considering it originally was in the kitchen. Oh, you're right on tonight. Here he is, introducing our next comedy act, the Runbazoid. Goddamn Confucius. Confucius jokes are back from our day. I haven't heard a Confucius joke in 50 years, 60 years. How do you like some of them off the wall comments from a certain party last night? If it wasn't that I went to a certain YouTube page, but if you go to a certain YouTube page, it all makes sense. Yeah, I was reading an article about Carol Burnett today. And it was hard to believe by watching the show. She could not stand Harvey Korman. She said he was tad arrogant and difficult to work with. And they seemed to mesh so well during the comedy skits. Hard to believe she couldn't stand him. She finally fired him. And then he ate a lot of crow. Actually, he ate vulture. And begged to come back. And she did let him come back. But it was never the same. She said, even though he was humble, there was still a lot of tension. I didn't know that. It really shocked me because it seemed like they just got along so well. I guess when you're doing, TV, movies, and so on, you can really play the part. Because after I read the interview, I went and I watched on YouTube a couple of old Carol Burnett shows, and I was like, wow. Hard to believe. Yeah, the article said that basically backstage, Harvey would totally ignore Carol, walk right past her like she didn't exist. And everybody said that Carol Burnett was one of the most kind people. Kind, down to earth, but Harvey, the longer the show ran, got the opinion that she was like upstaging him or overshadowing him. Well, she was the star. He wasn't. But he had the attitude that they should have kind of had like equal billing. But when she first brought him on the show, he was kind of a nobody. She made him what he was. And was he grateful? No. Not until he got fired. Oh, did he eat vulture? Holy shit. He ate vulture to the point where he apologized to not only the Tim Conway, and I can't remember the female's name that played opposite Carol, apologized to the crew, and then apologized to the whole stage staff and everything. And then went out of his way in front of a live audience to apologize to Carol. But she said it was never the same after that, unfortunately. Yeah, the cast. Thanks, Kathy. I'm dementia. Yeah. Old timers disease. I had I had read the Johnny Carson book that Ed McMahon wrote, and boy, it was amazing the guests that he would have on the show that he couldn't stand. He hated Bob Hope. Oh God, he hated Bob Hope with a passion. And Ed McMahon said the reason was when Bob Hope, first of all, the only time Bob Hope would come on would be to hawk another one of his movies, and then he would like take over. He wouldn't let Johnny get a word in edgewise. It was like, hey, I'm Bob Hope. I'm the big star. I'm better than you. He actually didn't want Bob Hope on. But the producer said, hey, when he has another movie coming out, he's making the rounds of all the talk shows and he has to be here. There were many others. I can't remember them all. I'll have to look it up in the book. Oh, right, right. He really wasn't. He was he was more of an actor than a comedian. I mean, he was funny in all of his movies, but if he did a stand like when he would do the oh, what am I? When he would play for the troops, you know, he would do a stand up, and of course, the troops were glad to see him, so they would laugh. But his jokes really weren't that funny. Now the movies, when they would do those what on the road movies, like on the road to Mandalay and on the road to Casablanca, he was funny in the movies. No, because he had the attitude that I'm a big star, which he came up through the 30s and 40s and became a star, but it went to his head. You know, he had a room in his house with various pieces of memorabilia. And he had in this showcase Hitler's personal flag. The flag that he would carry with him all the time. How he got it, I don't remember, but he had Hitler's personal flag. Gee, do you see where Mr. Big Hair wants Jimmy Kimmel fired again? He put a big thing on Twitter, well, X, how stupid Elon is, X, demanding that he be fired again. And the station said, nope, get over it, buddy. He's here to stay. And is he pissed because he thought the station would be like, oh, okay, like they did the first time. But this time, they said, nope, he's staying. You don't like it? Don't watch the show. And it's obvious he watches the show because he's all pissed off at all the jokes that Kimmel's doing. Yeah, I don't know if he's more pissed at the station owners or at Kimmel. But they said this time, nope, we're not firing him. Nope, nope, nope. Get over it. He's here to stay. Mainly because if they fire him again, he could sue that goddamn station owner for millions. Speaking of lawsuits, I'm in another class action lawsuit against AT&T for that big data breach that they had. Since I was a former AT&T customer, yeah, I got sent a bunch of paperwork. Well, not a big email I had to fill out. So we'll see what kind of settlement check I get. Although they said some of the settlement checks could be up to $3,000. Boy, would I love to get one of them. Although, if my data was compromised, it ain't worth much. Checks are supposed to be going out after the 1st of January, so we'll see what my settlement check amounts to. Probably $10. Here you go. Have a nice day. Hey, wait a minute. People are getting $3,000. How come I got 10? Gee, you see the I can't remember where in Indiana there was a shooting in a restaurant, and evidently both parties were armed, sitting at a restaurant with a piece in your pocket, because they said it was over a domestic relations argument, battle, whatever, and gunfire erupted. Must have been like the OK Corral. One guy pulls a gun, another guy pulls a gun, they shoot each other. Yeah, 2 killed, 1 critically injured. I'm thinking, and the article was real vague as far as the domestic relations part. Like, what was it, an ex husband or something? It didn't really go into a lot of detail, but evidently both men were armed. I didn't think you were allowed to go into a restaurant packing, especially if they serve alcohol. Like you're not supposed to be in a bar packing. But people do. I guess bouncers aren't allowed to search people. I'll have to reread the article in the morning. It was a restaurant I never heard of, too. Not that I'm up on all restaurants. Hell, I didn't even know we still had a P.F. Chang in Beechwood. So, what are you having for dinner, Ron, with your burnt spatula? I'm doing another Italian sausage hoagie. Well, I should say a pepper and onion hoagie with a little Italian sausage. The last one I made, I kind of hollowed the bread out a little bit so that I could get more peppers and onions in it. Yeah, it was a pepper and onion sandwich with some Italian sausage with marinara sauce. Burgers and fries, all right. Yeah, I got Barilla marinara sauce. I slathered the marinara sauce on the baguette, heap it with onions and peppers, Italian sausage, a little more marinara sauce, Italian blend cheese. Yeah, I got a call this morning. Matter of fact, 9:05. The phone rings. It was the nutritionist. Well, her secretary. We have an appointment at 3 o'clock this afternoon if you would like to come in. I said, no, thank you. She said, well, you know, your appointment is for April of 2026. I said, yes. Wouldn't you like to come in sooner? No. Matter of fact, I told her, I'm only coming because my doctor wants me to go. I says, I won't be making more appointments. I said, I told my primary care doctor, I'll go hear what she's got to say. That's it. I don't like, God, I'm starting to wonder, you know, is he getting a kickback? Sent me for more tests, more doctors. Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, when I was going through my appointment list, he snuck a cardiologist in on me. I'm like, I don't need a cardiologist. There ain't nothing wrong with my ticker. Well, you know, you have a family history. Yeah, and I should have never listed all that shit. You know, they want, give us your family history for, you know, as much as you have. I was like, well, my great grandfather, my grandfather, and my father all died of heart attacks. Oh, cardiologist. I like when they sneak them in and they don't say anything. I go in and I check my appointment schedule. I'm like, okay. What? Cardiologist? I ain't doing no fucking stress test, I'll tell you that right now. I'll let him listen. Get your stethoscope up. Now warm it up, because I know you keep your stethoscope in the refrigerator. Matter of fact, by primary care, he's got a stethoscope I've never seen before. It's got 3 heads on it. I never saw a triple header stethoscope. He walked in, that thing hanging around his neck, and he's like, what the hell's that? Yeah, it's a triple header. And he listens with all 3 heads. Okay. 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 You can breathe now. Thank you. Or I like when they go, take several deep breaths in rapid succession. Then you get fucking dizzy. although he is going to be happy with my blood pressure. It's coming way down. Yeah, what was it this morning? 118 over 75 and pulse 69. He should be happy with those numbers. Although I'm worried about the cholesterol. He's got me scheduled. Christ. I'm looking at the blood, the blood order, and it's got like 47 different things on it, plus a urine test, and it's got to be a fasting one. Oh, I hate them. That means after midnight, all I can drink is water. Blah. Although I don't have to go for that one for quite a while. Oh, yeah. When the nurse took my blood pressure the other day, he was quite happy. He was like, whoa, this is real good. Matter of fact, he took it as soon as I came in, and then he got a little medical history, and we chatted for a bit, and then he took it again. He was like, oh, your doctor should be very happy with this. I said, well, he better be. He said, well, what's your dosage for your blood pressure medication? I said 5 milligrams. He said, well, he shouldn't increase it. He said if he increases it, it'll lower it too much. I was like, oh. Yeah, I was just a bit into the high blood pressure scale. It wasn't nasty, but it's come down quite a bit. Of course, every time I look at my pills on my side table over here, it looks like a pharmacy. Although I never heard of this one. Amlodipine. I never heard of amlodipine. That's what he's got me on, amlodipine. Whatever, it works. Actually, he told me that this one would have the least side effects. I haven't had any. Because I hate when you take a goddamn medication and the side effects will kill you. But I haven't had any whatsoever. Although I can't remember what I'm taking for cholesterol. That one's on my night table. Because that one I take after I eat. So I keep it on the night table rather than over here in the pharmacy. So, Kathy, is the crowd coming to your house for Thanksgiving, or are you going to one of your daughters, or no big celebration? To me, it's just another day. Another day with a different meal, that's all. You do the cooking. Okay, I'll come down and have dinner at your house then. That way I don't have to cook. Like that would be a reality. Be my luck, I'd pull in your driveway and a state trooper would bust me and go, "Oh, we're going to impound your car. Oh, shit, how am I going to get home?" Go Greyhound and leave the driving to us. Boy, that's a name you hardly hear anymore. Well, good. Everybody, that's the way to do it. That way you're not stuck making everything. That's the way to do it. I'll be at the Greyhound bus terminal. Pick me up. And drive the older F-150, please. I like the nostalgia. I could see Kathy getting a call from the Greyhound terminal. "Hey, there's some old asshole here that says you're supposed to be picking him up in a red and white F-150. I think it's red and white, isn't it? Yeah, I had a blue and white. You had the red and white. I'll bring the Hungarian sausage and sauerkraut." Everybody's sitting at the table going, "What the hell is that shit? That ain't a Thanksgiving side dish." It is at my house. Do you have a Greyhound terminal anywhere near you? Just red. Oh, okay. Goes to show you how well I looked at the photograph. Yeah, I can't believe the Greyhound terminal downtown Cleveland still operating. I didn't think that many people rode Greyhound anymore. Not like back years ago. God, I remember seeing Greyhound buses going up and down I-71 all the time. I haven't seen a Greyhound bus in years. I I remember seeing them going up and down I-71 constantly. I have not seen a Greyhound bus in years. I wouldn't know what the new ones look like. I'm still back in the day when they had the big ass scenic cruisers. Now that was a bus. Now I know the terminal's still working, still operational. Because we used to have two. I don't know if we used to have Greyhound and Trailways. I don't know. God, I don't know if Trailways is still in business. I just can't imagine that many people riding a bus nowadays. Evidently, because they're still operating, but I'll have to look it up and see if Trailways is still in business. Because I remember we had two terminals, they were pretty close together. Because you had Greyhound and then you had the red and white Trailways. Because I remember Greyhound had certain routes and Trailways had certain routes. Like you could take a Greyhound to Columbus, but you couldn't take a Greyhound to Toledo. You'd have to take a Trailways to Toledo. But I haven't heard the name Trailways in years. Although with air traffic so cheap, Southwest was advertising recently like one way any destination $87. Although you're probably flying in the baggage compartment. My cousin keeps inviting me up to Rhode Island. I should have said to her, hey, invite me up for Thanksgiving and I'll take a Southwest up there if they fly up to Rhode Island. Really? They're still in business. Do they still have a terminal in Cleveland? Wow. They got to be, either the ticket prices have got to be outrageous or they're operating on a real thin profit margin. Because I just can't see that many people traveling by bus today. Although I would love to, I'd like to take Amtrak out west. Probably be as expensive as hell. God, I can remember after I graduated high school, one of the girls I graduated with took a Greyhound to California. God, that's got to be grueling. Yeah, she had cousins that lived in San Francisco, and they told her, "Come on out here and live with us," and she jumped on a Greyhound and, well, still in the same place. Chester Avenue, yep, still in the same, because the Greyhound terminal's at Chester too. Maybe they're operating, maybe they got Trailways on one side and Greyhound on the other. Because they've been on Chester forever. Well, for the hell of it, I'll have to look at their bus routes one day. Not that I'm going to jump on a Greyhound or a Trailways, unless Kathy invites me to dinner. Good, I can remember back in the day when there'd be a Greyhound bus stop like out in the middle of nowhere. Somebody'd be standing there with a suitcase, waving for the Greyhound to stop. Of course, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, I'm sure both Greyhound and Trailways probably had 700 different, stops across America. Up to see how much a bus ticket is out to Tempe, Arizona. Oh, oh, oh. Or Scottsdale. Visit my old neighbor that I grew up with. Yeah, I bet she'd appreciate that, getting a phone call from the goddamn bus terminal in Scottsdale. Hello? Guess where I'm at? So I could go from Cleveland to Providence in 20 hours, huh? Wow. That wouldn't be bad. I could do that. I could do that. Because you're only on a bus for one day. Not like going cross country. Boy, I'll tell you what, they're making good miles if they can leave Cleveland and getting to Providence in 20 hours and 17 minutes. I could do that because, fuck, you could sleep most of the time. Unless some crying, screaming kid is next to you. Shut that kid up. Or I'll throw him out the window. Hey, that's my baby. Yeah. Now I gave him something to cry for. Get off the bus in handcuffs. Sorry, Darlene. I'll be having my Thanksgiving dinner at the county jail. Cleveland to Phoenix start around $134 with an average price of $309 to go to Phoenix. I don't understand their reasoning there. Tickets start around 134, but it's going to be 309 by the time you get off the bus. Booking time and carrier. Christ, a plane ticket would be cheaper. I could fly Southwest for $87. Well, that's one way. Then it'd probably be 1,000 coming back. That's probably how they get me. Well, you fly out at $87. Return trip $1,249. What? Oh, I couldn't do 52 hours on a bus. No way. No. I could do 20. Not 52. No way. Oh, God. Because I'm sure you're changing buses at a certain point. I don't think you'd be on the same bus. God. And to think, when I graduated, Sally got on a bus in Cleveland and went to San Francisco. Oh my God. I can imagine what everybody smells like after they get off that fucking bus. God, 52 hours. Oh, I couldn't do that. No. I could do 20. I could do the 20. As long as I could sleep most of the time. Because it's not like the bus is stopping at McDonald's for lunch, Okay, everybody, we're going to stop at McDonald's. You got 15 minutes. Get your order, get back on the bus. Oh, I could. Oh, no way. And I'll tell you what, back in 1970, that had to be brutal. to go from Cleveland to California on a Greyhound. That had to be fucking brutal. I don't know how the hell she did it. Well, I could handle that, Ron. I could handle the 20 because it's one day. You know, if you get on the bus like at 5 a.m., I could handle that. But 50, 60, 70 hours on a bus? Oh, no, 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 no. Be my luck, there'd be some old guy holding a chicken sitting next to me. You want chicken? No, get your chicken away from me. Back off, back off. Back off, back off. There's your chicken. How come his head's crooked? I shut him up. That would be my luck. I'd get on in Cleveland to head for Phoenix, and there'd be an old Mexican guy sitting next to me with 2 chickens on his lap. God, could you imagine going back to the 70s, being an 18-year-old girl who just graduated from high school, get on a bus in downtown Cleveland and go to San Francisco? She's lucky she made it there alive. $39 flight from Cleveland to Phoenix. What are you flying in the baggage compartment? What airline is that? Holy Christ. I just wonder how much the return ticket is. Well, that'd work, Ron. I could fly out, land in time for us to go to the Chinese restaurant, and then right after dinner, back to the airport and come home. For under $100. Because I wouldn't have no baggage. All right, a change of underwear. I could carry that in my pocket. $39. Well, I know I'm definitely not flying in first class for $39. That price is unbelievable. Yeah, but I couldn't fly Thanksgiving. No. Yeah, you fly standby. They board the plane and they've got 5 or 6 seats open and they call you. Okay, here you go. Come on. What airline, Ron? Southwest? I bet you don't even get a drink and peanuts. Yeah, you can fly. You can fly for $29 as long as you're on the ramp loading baggage. Okay, baggage is loaded. You can get on the plane now. Okay. You got a carry-on? Yeah, I got my briefs in my pocket. And a pair of socks in the other pocket. Well, I don't think you get the 29 or 39 during holidays. Oh, you don't have to research them. It's not like I'm jumping on a plane in the morning and heading out that way. I think I'd rather take a Greyhound down to Kathy's house because there's home cooking for Thanksgiving. Considering Kathy and I have stood next to each other in a Hungarian meat store, we're like family now. Uh-oh. I think I screwed my Zappa leader up here. I could see walking into Kathy's house and the family being there going, who the hell's this? And Kathy go, well, we stood next to each other at Kaiser Meats and Reardon's Bakery. We're family. Everybody'd leave. We ain't eating with him. Sorry. I don't know. Maybe you got a DoorDash coming. Here you go. Here's 2 Cornish hens. Boy, I'm leaning towards the Cornish hen, but I'd have to go out first thing in the morning so that it would be defrosted in time. I got the I got the perfect little pan for it too. My grandmother used to have a big roaster about this big. I've got one about like this. Matter of fact, it holds 2 Cornish hens. That's how tiny a roaster is. And it's an old one. It's that blue that's got that white speckles on it. Kathy should remember those. The blue roaster with the white speckles. Matter of fact, I think it was my grandmother's. It has to be because I didn't get any roasters. No, it's got to be hers. It's cute though. It's big enough to hold two Cornish hens. And it's the old blue with the white speckles. And you could tell it's old because it's, even though it's small, it's heavy. Not like today, don't weigh shit. It's got to be hers. It's as cute as can be. Yours had black speckles? Mine's got white. Blue with, off-white speckles. But it's a cute little, it holds two Cornish hens. Perfect. Boom. You put them butt to butt. Yeah, maybe I'll run up to Save-A-Lot and God, they're cheap enough. Cornish hens are cheap. I could get two of them, put them in the little roaster. Then I could eat one and make chicken salad out of the other one. Oh, okay. Well, this, like I say, this roaster holds two Cornish hens. Perfect. That's how small it is. Because that's all I use it for, is the Cornish hens. You put them in there butt to butt, the little legs sticking out. Yeah, I think I'll make a trip up to Save-A-Lot and get me a Cornish hen tomorrow. Because that way it'll be defrosted by Thanksgiving morning. Because the last thing you want to do is quick defrost poultry. Oh. But if it isn't totally defrosted, you could get sick too. Oh yeah, it's got a little tiny rack. Yeah. The little roaster's got a little rack in it. And a lid. And that's the only thing I use that pan for. Is when I do Cornish hens. Because when I make meatloaf, I have meatloaf pans. And I got a shitload of Corningware too. Jesus. Matter of fact, I don't know why I keep dragging that Corningware from house to house to house. I haven't used any of it. I didn't use any of it when I lived down the street. and it's just taken up shelf space. The Corningware I got from my aunt. When she basically got sick, she said, "Come over here and get it all." God, she had every. You talk about a woman that had probably every piece of Corningware on earth. Because I even got several pieces of Corningware that have the chrome rack. You know, you set the rack on the table and then you put the hot pan on the rack. It's just the whole top shelf just full. And I haven't used any of that stuff in years. I keep dragging it from house to house. I should get rid of it. I don't know why I dragged it from up the street down here. My neighbor wanted it. She was like, "I'll take it." I was like, I might use it. I don't know why, because I never used it at the other house. And I was at that house for 15 years. Then I packed it and dragged it all down here. Same thing with dinner plates. I don't know why I have 12 dinner plates. 12 dinner plates, 12 sandwich plates, 12 bowls. It's not like I invite people over for dinner. Two, 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 and two. That'd be plenty. Hell, after I get done eating, I take the damn sandwich plate and I wash it, dry it. I don't know why I have a stack, you know. The only thing that I really did was I got rid of a boatload of coffee mugs. Oh, God, I had cups and mugs, and I'm like, I don't need 57 coffee mugs. Of course, a lot of them had been given to me. I had Fraternal Order of Police. I had my brother-in-law gave me one from the fire department, and I got rid of them. Matter of fact, what I did, I put a big picnic table out on the front lawn, and I put all kinds of shit out there, coffee mugs and you name it. I put in free. And then my neighbor was begging for all that Corningware. I should have given it to her. I need to start downsizing. I don't need all that shit anymore. I mean, it's nice to look at it and go, gee, all the money my aunt spent on that Corningware. Yeah, what good does it do me to have it on the shelf going, oh, look, my aunt's Corningware? I think I'll. I think after the first of the year, I'll pack it up in a box and donate it to Purple Heart veterans. They're always sending me. We take pots, pans, plates, dishes, clothing. We'll pack it all in a couple of boxes and say, here, take it. That's like my sister has. I don't know, Kathy, if you remember, you used to be able to buy Courier and Ives dinnerware at grocery stores. It was that blue and white Courier and Ives. Well, my mother had like every piece they made. She had like service for six, and then the bowls and the platters and you name it. My sister's got all that shit in a box, and she never touched it. It's sitting in her garage in boxes. All this Courier and Ives dinnerware. I think every grocery store had them. Because my mother had every fucking piece. You name it. Serving bowls, platters, everything. She had every. And it's packed in boxes in my sister's garage. And I'm like, why are you keeping that? Well, it was mother's. Yeah, but why is it taking up room in your garage? Because I remember if one grocery store didn't have what she was looking for, she went to another grocery store, like from A&P to Pick and Pay to Kroger's to Fisher's. But she had every piece, every single piece. Because they had oval platters in 3 different sizes and round platters in 3 or 4 different sizes. And it was like, I think she had service for 8. And everything from the dinner plates to the sandwich plates to the bread plates to cups, saucers, every piece. She spent a fortune on that shit. I have a couple of spoodles. My son got them when he was working out at Cifron. They had a shipment come in, and the merchandise got damaged in transit. So before they threw the shit in the dumpster, he brought home a bunch of them. I think I got 4. I got 4 spoodles. I got 4 slotted spoons. I got 4 regular spoons, big ones. What else? I have to look in the drawer. Although the neat thing that he brought, oh, what the hell do they call them? Oh, God, what do they call that? It's got a handle, and then it's got a woven, like a woven spoon. It looks like woven wire, and it's attached to a handle, and you use it for like taking eggs, boiled eggs out of a pan. What, a spider? Is that what they call them? A spider? I got a couple of them. I like them. They're neat. I think they call them spiders. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy. They call that a spider. You know what I'm talking about. It's metal mesh. It's round and it looks like a scoop. And it's got a wooden handle. No, not a spork. I think they call it a spider. They're neat. I like them. But, you don't. I use them for taking boiled eggs out and putting them in the ice bath. Oh, speaking of hard-boiled eggs, I am going crazy with ways to make hard-boiled eggs. Now, I read one that said start in cold water. And then I read another one where it says take your eggs out and make sure they're at room temperature, and then bring water to a rolling boil, and then add the eggs, cook them for 10 to 12 minutes, then take them out and shock them in an ice bath. And supposedly the shells will fall off. Now, I don't... Cold water? Hot water? I'm getting ready to make my pickled beets and eggs, and I don't want to fuck up the eggs. Peel the shell off and half the egg comes with it. And I read 3 different recipes, and they said put the eggs, make sure they're at room temperature, then bring a pan of water to a rolling boil, drop it gently, put the eggs in, then turn it down to a simmer and cook for 10 to 12 minutes. Then take the eggs out and shock them in ice water. That's what I've got. A spider. I got four. Each one's a different size. I got from about like that to like that. I got four of them. My son brought me one of each size. Because I mainly use them with hard-boiled eggs. Because you're not supposed to clank them together in the pan. Just ease them in and then ease them out. I love my spiders. Now, Kathy, when you do hard-boiled eggs, do you do the rolling boil and drop the eggs in? I want the shells to fall off. And they say take room temperature. All right, now the eggs I've had for 3 weeks. They say take the eggs and make sure they're at room temperature. And then it says, bring a pot of water to a rolling boil. Slowly put the eggs in. 10 to 12 minutes. And then shock them in ice water. And they say tap them at the top because the top has the air pocket, and then peel them underwater and the shells will fall off. Because I want perfect eggs when I make my pickled eggs and beets. Now, Marianne tells me cold water and bring it to a boil. I go online, cold water, boiling water. I just don't want the shells to stick. Older eggs are easy to peel, doesn't matter cooking procedure. Well, I guess what I'm going to do, first thing in the morning, I'm going to take the eggs out and put them on the counter. And then probably around noon, 1 o'clock, I'll do the boiling water thing. I'll bring the water to a rolling boil. I'll slowly put the eggs in, turn it down to a simmer, 10 to 12 minutes. Oh, Ron would love this. Well, you too, Kathy. I downloaded an egg timer app. And the neat thing is, you can set it for any time. All right, let's say 10 minutes. At the end of 10 minutes, a rooster starts crowing. That's what tells you the eggs are done. Peacock, peacock, peacock. I love it. It's cool. All right, well, these eggs I've had for 3 weeks. Now, who knows how old they are when they ship them out, But I've got this dozen 3 weeks old. Because they say, yeah, the older eggs peel easier. So I'll do them tomorrow and I'll let you know how they turn out. But that egg timer app is hilarious. It's called Get Crackin'. That's the name of the app, Get Crackin'. But it's cool because I was playing with it today. And when it gets like to the end of 10 minutes, you hear a rooster crowing. I was like, oh, that's cool. Because I used to have a hourglass egg timer. I don't know what happened to it. When you move, shit disappears. Oh! I found, I'll bring it in tomorrow. I found my Cleveland police cruiser die-cast car. The one I thought got stolen. You'll love the story that goes with this one. Talk about putting something in a safe place when you're moving. I don't even remember packing it, but I found it. And I'm glad I did because my buddy who retired from the police department had ordered it. Because the average public couldn't get their hands on them. They were just for police personnel. He ordered me one, and when he retired, he gave it to me. And then I thought it got stolen. But I found it accidentally. Now all I got to do is find the goddamn cameras. Still haven't found them. Thanks for being here and putting up with my stupid ass. And we will meet again tomorrow night. And tomorrow we got to decide if you want me to do a Thanksgiving show. I mean, I'm up for it. It's not like... But I don't know if you'll be spending time with family. All right. We will meet again tomorrow night. Everybody, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. See ya.